Today we are talking about books. And as you know, I can talk about books all day. I'll divide this video in three sections. First is why can't we read more? And second is why should you even bother to read, right? And the third one is how can you read more? So let's start with why can't you read more? There is a general stat, you can find it on internet, that around 80% of people don't read a single book after they graduate college. The moment they graduate college, around age 22, 23, they don't read books. Not even a single book. And let's say they live for like 80 years. For almost 60 years, they will not read a single book. But why don't we feel like something is lacking, right? Why don't we feel like we need more knowledge, or like there's so many people, right? I think it depends on person to person. For me, I think I'm always looking for new information, and there are other kind of people who I think don't need that. Or maybe they get information from, let's say, from TV, from their smartphones, from their social media apps, right? But why reading is considered as superior? First of all, let's go in deep. Like, why can't we read more? I think the first culprit is our smartphone. Like, we are scrolling all the times. We have this habit, and because opening a phone, going to a social media app, let's say Instagram, and scrolling through reels, this is easy. So once we start doing those easy things, it is relatively difficult for our brain to do certain activities which require more focus, like reading. So if you are more habitual, if you are almost every time on in front of a screen, you will find very hard to read. So this is one of the most compelling reason, like why even I sometimes feel like I can't read, like I can't put focus. And this is the reason, because if I'm scrolling for too long, if I'm scrolling for weeks, and the moment I try to shift my gear to, let's say, I want to read a decent book, I can't do that because my mind is now hooked to that dopamine, right? I need like instant gratification all the time. And this is causing a lot of sickness, mental sickness in people. So this is one of the first reason, like you can't read more. Second is like you can't do reading as a group activity. Like you can play sports, like you can play football, cricket, like you can play as a group. You can't read. I mean, yes, everyone can like sit and like do the reading, but you can't do it together. You have to do it alone. So this is one of the reason people don't do those activities, because these are very passive. Like reading is very passive. I mean, from outside, not from inside, it's very active, right? But from outside, it's very passive looking. Like you're just sitting and reading, and nothing like more you can do. It's not sounds fun. So this is another reason like people can't read more. And third is like, if you don't read, life doesn't stop, right? If you stop reading, nothing major will happen, and we feel like if it's not giving us return like right away, we feel like this activity is not worth doing. So these are the main things I found, like why we can't read more. Now let's jump to the next part. Why should you even bother to read? Let me tell you a story. You know, there's a famous book by Sun Tzu called Art of War. This is probably the best book on the art of waging a war or winning a war. Like if any country, there's a military, they will teach their journal these books, like this book by Sun Tzu. So why I'm telling you this story? You know, for thousands of years, this book was banned in China. In China, you cannot get a copy of Sun Tzu's Art of War because Sun Tzu gives you some kind of strategies, right? A military general can use, and that can help the enemy camp. If they have the book, like they know what kind of strategies they can use, or general people can use to revolt against the king, right? So there were some books in history you can go and research that were forbidden to read. So if you have this freedom, like we take our freedom so guaranteed, like if you can do something doesn't mean like you will forever do, right? Because there are governments, and there were like in the history, like you can read, like sometimes like they will not allow you to read certain books or even read at all. There were groups like slaves, like which are forbidden to read. But nowadays, most people can read. You can read. If you're watching my video, you have this freedom to read, and we don't take that. We just take it for granted. So this is one of the reasons like you should read, because this is a freedom you got. Nobody born with it. It is given to you. Now we feel like we have it, but the moment anyone steal it from you, then you realize, oh man, I had this capability which I can't do now, right? And second is like a book like this Meditation by Marcus Aurelius costs like $20, $30. You can convert that in your currency. But this book, if you read, will give you dividend throughout your life. A book like this costs like $20-$30, but can give you 10x, 100x, 1000x returns. I'm not talking just about money. I'm talking about quality of your life. The quality of your life, your thoughts will improve if you read good books. There is no debate. Like, you can't debate out of that, oh, this is false. This is true. If you read good stuff, quality of your life will improve if you apply it. Obviously, it's just not like just reading. You need to apply those things. But if you're reading, there's more chance that if you're getting those knowledge, there's more chance that you will apply this knowledge. So a book will give you the most return. This is the best investment anyone can make. And you don't have to buy like 100 books. You can start with one, and we'll see like how can you read. And this is the next part of the video. So if you want to read more and you can't, the first thing I do, if I can't read more for whatever reason, if I'm stressed about something or I have some workload, I make an entry in my journal. I keep this diary all the time with me. I record everything, most of the activities, not everything, like most of the crucial activities. And you can create a column, let's say reading. And on that, you can track how much reading you do. And you can commit yourself like 15 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, one chapter, one page a day. You can start small. You can start with one line. Doesn't matter. But as you go, you can increase that. So make it a habit. Anyone can do 15 minutes a day reading, like anyone. I don't care how much busy you are. Anyone can find just 15 minutes spare time the whole 24 hours day, maybe like less than 1% of your daytime, and you can spend that and make it a habit, so that once you have the habit, you will not live without your habits, right? So you have to go and you have to read it. So this is the thing like I do. If I don't read for, let's say, a month or so, and I feel like I need to read more, I'll do that. I make a column and I start tracking and see like how I'm doing. And the next advice is, if you feel like you don't like the books, just stop reading it. It's like if you're watching a Netflix show, right? If you don't like it, you stop watching it. You don't care about like, oh man, I paid like $20 Netflix this month and I didn't like this show, and you moved on, right? And this is the same thing you can do with books. You move on. Don't like one book, you can buy another. And that's why like you having a small library will help you, because sometimes you don't feel like reading one type of book. Maybe you feel like you want to read some fiction books, but you don't have that book, right? So that's why like people have libraries, and that's why I have a mini library where I can go and read whatever I feel like. So this is the thing, like if you want to read more, you need to have some options, right? Another thing, like you can buy a Kindle, or you can buy a Kobo, like whatever, and you can download books nowadays very cheaply, freely. There's so much stuff on the internet you can download, right? And you can put it in your Kindle, and Kindle is like $100 or something, or 150, and that will pay out in, let's say, if you buy like 10 books, and now your Kindle is free because you have those books. No, I'm not saying like you should get free books, but there's so many options. Like sometimes an author gives you a free book, right? You can download that and put it in your Kindle. And I think that's it from today's video. I was just wanted to make a video like how can you start reading more, and I'll give you an update like how my reading is going in next videos. That's it from today's video. Thanks a lot for watching.